Hello, everybody. This is Car Guy Chris Ellis.
Look, Electrical Chris.
We're here to talk to you about.
Our Week 10 NFL, along with Week 11 college results and our predictions for the upcoming weeks. Both me and Dad were 9-5 and professional. Ravens scraping by against the Bengals on Thursday Night Football 35-34 with controversial non-called plays. Sunday in Germany, Panthers beat the Giants 20-17 in overtime. The Patriots beat the Bears 19-3. The 49ers beat the Bucks 23-20, even though their kicker was 3 for 6 on field goals. The Chiefs miraculously beat the Broncos with a blocked kick in the last 3 seconds of the game and won 16-14. Bills beat the Colts 30-20. Steelers beat the Commanders 28-27 after an encroachment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Encroachment call that surprised a lot of people, even us. Vikings beat the Jaguars 12-7 with a mediocrity game. Saints beat the Falcons 20-17 with Marquez Scantling coming back. Chargers beat the Titans 27-17. The Cardinals beat the Jets 31-6. The Eagles whipped the Cowboys 34-6. The Lions came back beating the Texans 26-23, even with Jared Goff throwing 5 interceptions. And the Monday Night Football game, the Dolphins beat the Rams 23-15. Our player of the week it has to be given to Jamar Chase for the Bengals. 11 receptions for 264 yards and 3 TDs. So just a great showing against the Ravens secondary. Rookies of the week were both going with rookie quarterbacks. Even though this guy lost, he actually had a good showing against the Chiefs. Bo Nix, 22 for 30 for 215 yards passing, 2 TDs and no interceptions.
Yeah, I'm going with Drake May from New England, 15-25, 184 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception.
For defense, I'm going with the guy that turned around the Sunday night game. I'm going with Carlton Davis, the Lions DB, 4 tackles, all tackles solo, but with 2 interceptions.
Yeah, I'm going with Zach Bond from the Eagles, linebacker, 8 tackles, 3 solo, 5 assisted. He had 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 tackle for a loss.
A lot of good defensive showing, so that's for sure. For college, Dad was 13-6, and I was 12-7, so I am behind Dad in both professional and college by 9 games. Texas beat Florida 49-17. Georgia Tech beat Miami, Florida 28-23. Ohio State Buckeyes beat Purdue 45-0. Army beat North Texas 14-3. Clemson beat Virginia Tech 24-14. Ole Miss beat Georgia 10-28, which I think was the biggest shock of the whole weekend. Kansas beat Iowa State 45-36, another big loss for Iowa State, unfortunately. Indiana beat Michigan 20-15. Colorado beat Texas Tech 41-27. Tennessee beat Mississippi State 33-14. Oregon beat Maryland 39-18. Alabama whipped LSU 42-13. Notre Dame whipped Florida State 52-3. Boise State barely scraped by against Nevada 28-21. Virginia beat Pittsburgh 24-19. Penn State beat Washington 35-6. BYU scraped by against Utah 22-21. And Washington State beat Utah State 49-28. All right, once again, 14 games. 4 teams are on the bye. Thursday Night Football, the Commanders versus the Eagles in Philly.
I'm going with Eagles.
I'm going with the Commanders. I'm high on Jaden Daniels right now. Start of the Sunday games, Raiders versus Dolphins.
I'm going Dolphins.
I'm going Dolphins as well. They reemerge, and I'm happy about it. Jameis Winston and the Browns versus the Saints.
I'm going Saints in this one.
I want to say Browns just because of how Winston plays in New Orleans, but after Carr and everything last weekend, I had to stick with the Saints. Colts versus Jets. Basically, which older quarterback is going to have the better game?
I'm going to go with the Colts.
And I agree with you. Colts on that one as well. Vikings versus Titans.
Vikings.
Even though they had a bad showing last weekend, I'm going with Vikings as well. Packers versus Bears.
I'm going with Pack.
I'm going with Packers as well. The Bears are just not impressing me. Jaguars versus Lions.
Lions.
It's in Detroit. I'm going with Lions. Rams versus Patriots.
Going Patriots. I think Drake's doing really good, so well.
I'm going with Rams just because of the experience factor with Stafford. Ravens versus Steelers. First divisional game for the Steelers and one of the biggest rivalries in the NFL.
I'm going with Ravens in this one.
I'm going Ravens and Pitt. Ooh. I'm going with the Steelers. Seahawks versus 49ers.
Going 49ers.
No, I'm going with the Niners as well.
They got their running back, so.
And Jennings back, so I agree. Falcons versus Broncos in Denver.
I like how the Broncos play in Denver. I'm gonna go with Broncos, even though I think the Falcons will win.
I'm agreeing with you on that one, Broncos. Kansas City Chiefs versus Bills in Buffalo.
I'm going Bills.
I want the Bills to win, but I'm saying Chiefs to go 10-0. Sunday Night Football, Bengals versus the Chargers.
Going Bengals.
You're going Bengals. I am going with Chargers. Monday Night Football, Battle of Texas. Texans versus Cowboys in Dallas.
Texans.
Yeah, Texans. All right. College football, once again, 19 games. And I think we got only two top 25 matchups. Yep. Utah versus number 18, Colorado.
Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado. Number 17, Clemson versus Pittsburgh.
Clemson.
I'll go with Clemson as well. Number 3, Texas versus Arkansas in Arkansas.
I'm going Texas.
And you're not afraid of them doing to Texas what they did to Tennessee?
I mean, it's a old rivalry game, so I mean anything can happen. But
I was just asking. I'm still going with the Longhorns. Number 2, Ohio State versus Northwestern.
Ohio State.
I agree. Number 25, 7-2 Tulane versus Navy.
Tulane.
I'm going with Navy. Mercer versus number 9, Alabama.
This will probably be the biggest blowout of the day. Probably Alabama.
Yeah. Number 21, LSU versus Florida.
Gotta go with LSU. I think they'll play a whole lot better than they did last.
Agreed. Boston College versus number 14, SMU.
SMU.
SMU? I agree on that one. Virginia versus number 18, Notre Dame.
18?
8, sorry.
Notre Dame.
Number 22, Louisville versus Stanford.
I'm going to go with Louisville on that one.
I agree. Number 4, Penn State versus Purdue.
I'll go Penn State on that one.
I do agree with you on that one. Top 25 matchup. 24, Missouri versus number 23, South Carolina.
I'm going to go with Missouri in that one.
I'm going with the Gamecocks. Arizona State versus number 20, Kansas State.
I'll go with Kansas State on this one.
I'm going with Arizona State. Number 13, Boise State versus 7-2, San Jose State.
I'm going Boise.
I'm going Boise as well. Number 1, Oregon versus Wisconsin.
Oregon.
Top 15 matchup. Number 6, Tennessee versus number 11, Georgia.
I'm going to go with Tennessee in this game.
I want to go Tennessee. It's just that it's in Georgia, and Georgia does better in Georgia. It's hard to say this, but I'm going with them. New Mexico State versus number 15 Texas A&M.
I'm going A&M in that one.
I agree. Number 19 Washington State versus New Mexico. And New Mexico is 4-5.
I'm going Washington State. New Mexico is always has a decent team, but
State just has a little bit more dynamic. Kansas versus number 7 BYU.
oh, I'm going BYU. I'm going with the Cougars.
I'm going with BYU as well. All right, and that is our predictions. The awards for Silver Slugger were announced yesterday. Congratulations to everybody that received it. Rookies earned it, as well as vets and people gaining their first Silver Slugger as well. At the Santander for the Orioles got his. Judge Soto got theirs, respectively, on behalf of the Yankees. Josh Smith got one on behalf of the Rangers, which surprised me, but nonetheless well deserved. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. being one of the best first basemen, and a good resurgence. Congrats on that. And Jose Altuve, of course, winning his 7th one. So
Yeah, yep. So yeah, those were announced. Next week will be the main awards. So that'll be interesting. The only one I think they've left off for was NL Manager of the Year. I think Snicker probably did his best job with not having his Cy Young or his MVP hitter being on the team for the whole year. He probably should have had a little bit more recognition than not being in the top 3. So that's going to be interesting. But, I mean, other than that, I think deserving players definitely made all the top 3 lists. So I think definitely unanimous decision. I think Chris Sale should be unanimously the...
So you want?
Yeah, and then the MVPs, I think, are going to be unanimous. I don't think there's...
No, I don't think there's got to be any debate about it.
Yeah, I think Judge and Ohtani pretty much have that locked up.
Even though they're World Series performances.
Yeah. But other than that, I got nothing else. You got anything?
No.
All right. This is Card Guy Chris Ellis.
With Collectible Chris.
And we'll be talking to you next week. Bye.